Let's try again, shall we?
You know what, bro? Do your worst.
I'm driving through a tropical depression right now, but it's not the outside depression that I'm worried about. It's the depression in here. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I think that I may have found the dumbest commenter ever. Oh boy, do I mean the dumbest. Commenters that say stupid things, they come in a variety of stripes. A lot of them will just be like, oh, you're wrong, and you're just mad because you're wrong, and you're coping. This guy has all of them beat. Because it doesn't really matter what strategy you take to be an idiot in the comments. This guy has you all on the ropes. This person didn't even watch the video. Didn't watch a video that's not even 4 minutes long. Didn't even watch that much of the video. They could have watched it at 2x speed. And how long would it have taken them? A minute and 45 seconds at the most? But no, they couldn't even be bothered to do that. They went off on this tirade. See, here's the problem with the whole Civil War thing. People are stupid. They think they know things, and they don't. They think they understand things, and they don't. But worst of all, a lot of people think that they're reasonable, rational, logical, smart, educated, informed, whatever people, and they're not. So, dear friends, this person, this genius, who's going to set me straight on the whole Civil War thing, what did they base their stuff on? If they didn't watch the whole video, or even half of the video, what was their stupid comment about? It was about the exact thing that I refuted at the end of the video. The end of the video, I say something that nukes the entire argument. Most of that 3 minutes and 43 seconds is just setting up the argument. Setting up all of the counterpoints and whatnot that are typical for, was the Civil War about slavery or not? Setting up all the pins. But I have this bowling ball that's really a giant low-orbit ion cannon that blows the entire bowling place up, just to be sure, mind you. And that's what I deploy at the end of the video. That's what was promised in the title of the video. The title of the video was that I nuke the Civil War was for slavery argument in about 4 minutes. And the person went off on some big stupid argument just with that and the intro, the first, not even a minute I have to assume, and they told me so, directly in the comments. Of course, the only thing that I could say back was, you obviously didn't watch the video. Because, and I will repeat it here in case you don't feel like watching a 3 minute and 43 second video yourself, keep in mind, YouTube incentivizes you to make 8 minute or longer videos for mid-roll ads, and the ideal time is somewhere between 10 and 20 minutes if you can get enough people to stay on long enough. I have the respect for the viewer to make my point brief, 3 minutes, 43 seconds, and the asshole doesn't even give me that. But they spent, I'm sure, more time than that thinking of what stupid thing they were going to say in response to not what I said. The Civil War was not about slavery, but even if it was, slavery was cemented in place by the Northern tariffs. Then they rug pulled the slavery. So imagine this. Imagine you have to have some kind of, let's just say that you have to hire illegals to keep your business afloat. And then it's because the government has taxed you so hard for hiring illegals, right? But just as an example, this is not a great example, but it gives you a vague idea. So you have to have below minimum wage labor to keep your business going because they've kind of forced you into the position. Like, it might have been nice in the past, but the North, we'll just call the government the North, forced you into a position where now slavery, rather than being something that you do because it saves you money, is something that you do because now it's not about saving you money, it's about keeping the operation afloat at all. Then the same person goes, hi, I'm Darth Vader, and I'm going to take all that extra, that cheapo labor that you've been using completely away out from underneath you. It's all gone. I'm taking all of your cheap labor away. That, by the way, we taxed you because you had, which forced you to keep it. Then, now we're taking it away, even though we're the reason that you can't get rid of it, even if you want to at this point. You have no choice but to use it. It's a no-win situation. And I am not some kind of like magical, fruity expert on the Civil War. I don't know all your little nuances. I don't know all this crap about, ports and tariffs and blah, blah, blah. Some real stupid people have responded to this whole notion by saying that, the North paid the vast majority of the tariffs. Like, most of the money from tariffs came from the North, too. So the South doesn't matter because they weren't even paying most of the tariffs anyway. Well, if my neighbor has $2 million a year and I have $20,000 a year, and you take $5,000 from me and you take $15,000 from him, well, that's a very different percentage now, isn't it? If you're taking away a larger portion of the money that I have coming in, then that's the end of the argument right there. I don't care about that guy. I don't care if you got a guy that's giving you $100 million every single year as part of their tariffs up north. I'm some poor farmer guy. I don't make a lot of money, and you're taking most of it. So that's the problem with that argumentation. This is not even the guy that I originally made this about. The guy I originally made this about is a moron, sure, but we're talking about tons of people that have literally applied this argumentation to the whole thing. Well, the tariffs couldn't possibly have been an issue. That couldn't have anything to do with it, because the taking out of your pocket couldn't have been the reason you did things to get by, because someone else paid more out of their pocket, their much bigger pocket. Okay, I don't care. That doesn't change my situation at all. If anything, it makes me feel even worse, because why do they have more than I do? I spend my whole day working my ass off. Why do they have more than I do? So now, not only are you telling me that I don't matter because of unrelated reasons that have nothing to do with my issue, but also that you blame me for it somehow. That's a berserk position. It makes no sense at all. I don't understand how these people manage to make it to age 25, if they even have, and not carve their own eyes out with a spoon somehow, a wooden spoon at that. Like, how do you get to this point? How do you become an adult and not have the most basic logical skill to where you can at least go, if someone's taking money from me, it doesn't make me feel any better or solve my problem that someone says, I'm taking more money from this other guy. I don't care. So? Are you stupid? And the original guy's stupid too. The original guy, he's like, I didn't even watch the video, so I don't even know what your argument is, but I'm just going to make a bunch of assumptions and argue against the assumptions because I'm a stupid idiot. Hopefully, I've been smart about this, and I've edited this particular comment onto the screen more than once. But yeah, it blows my mind. These people are so stupid. But now here, since you have listened to all of that, I will give you the golden nugget that comes at the end of the video as I drive through this friggin' hurricane. Everything is always about economics. Everything in a society comes down to economics. Because a lot of people tried to argue with me that slavery is not the issue. No, slavery is not relevant. Tariffs are not the issue. Tariffs aren't relevant because slavery. And, the South quoted, slavery repeatedly in their documents of secession or articles of secession or whatever. And it's just slavery this and slavery that. I saw slavery everywhere. I've done the absolute most minimum research. I don't actually know the facts. I just know that a bunch of other people that are on my political side have told me these things that match up with what I want to believe. And I can go get quotes from somewhere. So that's good enough for me. I'm a Wikipedia genius. So I don't have to actually understand what it is that I'm telling other people authoritatively is the actual truth. If you think about this, everything comes down. Everything in society is economics. marriages, the vast majority of divorces happen because of financial issues. Some partner, has a bunch of secret debt. Some partner blows a bunch of money on credit cards. Some partner sells something in a stupid way. Some partner does not hold up their obligations in terms of work or labor, whatever. But economics sort of runs society. You cannot have a society without economics. In a lot of ways, economics are politics. Slavery is economics. Because what is slavery? If you take the human element out, the whole compassion thing, the emotional arguments, which are not arguments. Emotional arguments aren't arguments because people don't matter when you're looking at systems, when you're looking at the machinery of how something works. The emotions don't really matter that much unless that's the direct focus. Slavery, why would I bother owning another person? Not because I just I just happen to get off on this. And if that's the case, if you're into that kind of BDSM, that's up to you. All right. But even in that particular case, that would be consensual, but non-consensual human slave labor. It is nothing more than cheap labor. Today, the human slave labor in the United States is not a bunch of black people put by their own people onto boats in Africa and sold to not necessarily a white person to work in the fields. Today's slave labor is largely Hispanics from Mexico, Central and South America that are working under the table in terrible conditions because they are illegal aliens and they have no choice. So we still have slave labor. It's alive and well in the United States, but the same people who will go out of their way to kick this political football back into the right-wing, conservative, Republican, whatever you want to call it, area of the field, those same people that will kick that ball as hard as they can back to the right, they are more than happy to scream at you about who will pick the cotton, who will pick the fruit. It all comes down to economics. When the slave labor is in your system for so long and the things around it collapse inward because the slave labor causes a sinkhole and the things around it start falling down too, you cannot eliminate that slave labor without causing another new problem. And that's why the Civil War really happened. You can say it was because of slavery, but the thing is, tariffs didn't motivate people to go die on a battlefield to secede from the Union. Slavery did. Because if you talk to someone about theoretical economics, their eyes glaze over and they go, I got to get back into the field and work, man. But if you talk to them about slavery, that thing where I've got all these people that work for a pittance and they do most of this heavy labor for me, and I can, I make a certain amount of money, but if I have to hire normal people to replace them, I'm going to get cleaned out. I'm going to lose everything. I'm going to lose the skin, the shirt off my back. That will motivate a person. That's the real reason that the whole secession, everything, I call it the marketing materials for the secession. The marketing materials that led up to the Civil War. These idiots read the cover of the brochure. They don't read anything inside. They just read, I read the title of the book. I know what the book's about. And they go running around and they cause all kinds of second order effects just because they've seen this one thing. And that's what this commenter on this video, that is exactly what they are. This commenter in question, they are exactly the sort of person who would, if they were back in the days leading up to the Civil War, who would have been completely ignorant up until the point that they were told that their cheap labor was going to be rug pulled out from under them, and suddenly they were going to go from people that they effectively had to spend, I don't know, a quarter a day on or whatever, to people that want to make $5 a day. Their labor is going to basically 10x overnight. Once these northern guys get in there, they're not even going to be allowed to taper off of the heroin of slavery. That's just boom, cold turkey, you're screwed. And you see how well that goes over. It's a shock to an economic system. So yes, I am absolutely 100% correct about Civil War. I don't know why I'm doing the pizza's so good gesture. But I am 100% correct about the Civil War being about tariffs, because even if you make it about slavery, even if you 100% prove that it's about slavery, even if you make it unequivocally, there's no argument. Slavery's the sole cause and a serious cause, and so on and so forth. What's underneath the slavery? What made the slavery become necessary and ingrained into the culture, and so on? The North screwed with the South for a very long time. They put in tariffs that increasingly got more and more oppressive. The left in this country will go well out of their way to virtue signal that they care about the oppressed. But the second you have stars and bars, the second you got a Confederate flag anywhere near it, suddenly they do a 180, and every argument that they make for why they should be able to keep their apple pickers that are here illegally from Mexico or wherever, suddenly all those arguments do a 180, and it's, oh no, you support doing horrible, that you support workers in bad conditions, not getting paid a fair living, whatever wage. You know, somehow the arguments do a 180 because it's not about the arguments. It's never been about the arguments with these people. It's not about consistency. It's not about standards or morals or any of it. It's about adherence to an ideology. It's about sticking to the blue church. It is dogma. It is a non-religious religion. It is a deity-less religion. It is about showing other people that you conform over everything else. Because it doesn't matter if your morals are conflicting. You can hold these cognitive conflicting views. What do they call that? It's a cognitive bias. What is it called? Dissonance, cognitive dissonance. You are allowed, if you are a leftist in the United States, to have extreme cognitive dissonance. Because, and I'm autistic, so I learned how to get along with other people and socialize in a much more academic way than your typical person. Think like learning a second language. Your first language you learn through intuition and interaction. Your second language you learn more academically, more, shall we say, scientifically or methodically or programmatically. So your second language, you don't pick up the same way. In that same way, I have learned to socialize with other people pretty damn well, I think. But by doing it, by looking at the system of interpersonal interaction and going, okay, people don't make sense. But within the system of interpersonal interactions, suddenly they make a lot of sense once you understand the rules of the system. But the rules of interpersonal interaction do not adhere to the rules of logic and reason. They adhere to the rules of how people get along with each other, how they manage relationships. This is why everybody lies. Everybody code switches. Everybody treats certain people differently than they do other people. Everybody has a degree of what in our ideals we tell each other, are bad behaviors. But those bad behaviors are actually the lubricant that allow us to slide through these social relationships. It is the oil in the social machine. And that's basically where this is going. If you understand economics not as a system that is entirely rational or logical, if you understand all of this stuff, the Civil War, it's a combination of basically just interpersonal stuff and how humans are motivated. It does not make sense because it's not the kind of system that makes sense if you're trying to be completely reasonable about it. However, if you are working with the system, if you're trying to understand what's going on with it, you can still do a rational analysis of the system. You can still go, okay, this is ridiculous, but it does make sense in the system. I can see why people reacted this way because this is the way that people are. This is human nature. You can take that and you can apply it. But for some reason, these people in the blue church, this tropical depression has left quite a lot of water, by the way. Oh shit. Hey, so I'm about to drive through a big one. It's not enough that it's going to be a huge problem, but let's not go through it this way. Oh, fuck me. That was unpleasant. Whew. Ooh. My serpentine belt's angry now. Well, I'm probably better off having been derailed by that, because I know I've gone on too long about this, but I do think that there's a very good chance you got what you needed out of this. I'm going to get off of this camera and drive a whole lot slower, because I'm really tired of hearing the belt squeal. Stop it! It had to get one last squeak in, didn't it? All right, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this comment smackback. It really turned into something special, didn't it? Like, comment, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. And hopefully, you'll see this video, because I would really like it if this tropical depression didn't kill me. And I feel pretty bad for the people in Texas. If there's something that you can do to be helpful to them, the people that have been affected by the flooding, I'd appreciate it, you know. But that's just sort of a side thing. I live in North Carolina, man. We got our own problems. And I got to be honest, I'm in Siler City, North Carolina, and some of the problems with that are that this place is full of people who don't have driver's licenses or car insurance, and yet still are allowed to drive on the same road as me. So, yeah, you know, it's an interesting place to be. Anyway, I got to get going. Like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, I know what. You basic.
Because you know what, Michael? You're basic.